Good evening, and welcome to the 18th Annual NAF Benefit. Thank you all for being here in person. I'm Lisa Doogie, NAF's CEO, and I'm so honored to be here with you, celebrating our mission, our committed partners, our generous donors, and most importantly, our amazing students. Much has happened since the last time we were together. From racial unrest to impassioned political debates to a global pandemic that drastically changed how we live day to day, just to name a few. And even during such volatility, NAF students and educators moved forward. In fact, when many of our schools saw drastic decreases in enrollment, NAF enrollment grew. This is what made students want to stay connected. This is what made them see a future that they can believe in. We know that this works. Our network was challenged like never before, yet they adapted and excelled. They rose. Rise to the moment, rise to the challenge, rise to the opportunity is the theme for tonight's event. But it also represents what our students, educators, and partners have always done. Tonight, if you look around the room, you'll see and meet the leaders of tomorrow. You'll have the chance to interact with NAF students who are charting their own futures and putting in the work to be successful. These students are a shining example of what it means to be future ready. Today, we are proud to boast over 120,000 students in 618 academies across 35 states, plus DC, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. Through work-based learning and mentorship opportunities, we know that students are more engaged, gaining keen awareness of potential careers, developing important skills, and making industry connections, truly being prepared for the next steps after high school. NAF seniors graduate at a 99% rate, which is compared to 86% of their counterparts. 80% of our students are students of color, and 87% are college-bound. The reach is impressive, but it isn't enough. We know that this works, and we need to do more of it. We know we can't do it alone. We're able to deliver on our mission because of amazing partners, many of whom are in the room tonight. And we are grateful for your contributions and look forward to working with you and with new partners to meet the needs of your talent pipelines and provide opportunities for our nation's future leaders. One such partner is American Express and their chairman and CEO, Steve Squeri, who we are proud to honor tonight. American Express has a storied history with NAF, starting with our chairman, Sandy Weil, and including board members and former CEOs of American Express, Jim Robinson and Ken Chenault. And I'm even proud to say that I'm an Amex alum, having worked there prior to coming to NAF. This year marks 35 years since American Express helped to launch NAF's Academies of Hospitality and Tourism. Through their partnership and investment, and now under Mr. Squeri's leadership, thousands of students have been exposed to thriving career pathways in hospitality and tourism and beyond. There's never been more focus on the future of education and the future of work, and NAF sits so perfectly at that intersection, and we know that this works. And we are taking strategic steps to actualize what this looks like, and through our work, how NAF can make significant impact on the lives and futures of all young people. We are taking bold steps to ensure that we can go deeper into communities that need it the most and deliver high quality and equitable resources for students and educators. NAF envisions a world where all young people have equal opportunities for successful futures. And we are well on our way, but we have a lot more work to do. We need all of your help to continue the momentum. We're not only innovating programmatically, but thanks to generous support from our chairman and our board of directors, we're even innovating on how we fund our work. With your mentorship, your support, and especially your financial investment, a brighter future is possible. Because we know that this works, and we know we can do more. Every person in this room has the power to create more successful futures for more of the students who need it most. Throughout the evening, I hope that you will not only think about your own investment and partnership, but who else you would like to bring to the NAF table. I can't imagine there's anyone who wouldn't be inspired by what's happening in this room and what's happening in NAF classrooms around the country. I'm thrilled to introduce Diego Moran, who I had the privilege of meeting a few weeks ago in Miami, and he's a standout from our Academy of Finance in Coral Gables Senior High School. Please join me in welcoming Diego.
Thank you, Lisa, for that lovely introduction. Good evening. My name is Diego Moran. I'm an 18-year-old, and I am a graduating senior from Coral Gables Senior High School. I want to take the time tonight to thank two people who really brought me here to this place to be speaking with y'all tonight. The first person I'd like to thank is my mother, who's actually here in the crowd. So if you want, can you give her a round of applause? And the second person I would like to thank is actually my former lead academy teacher, Ms. Natasha Lopez, who was the person who recruited me to NAF back in my freshman year. So we give her also a quick round of applause. I wasn't supposed to be in this situation. I think if you went back in time and told my 8th grade self that I'd be here tonight speaking with you all, I would have looked you in the eye and called you absolutely insane. 8th grade was a tough year for me, not only personally, but academically. And because of that, I didn't feel really confident about my future or where my life was going at that point in time. Despite that, however, the Academy of Finance and NAF took a chance on me. And it was when I got that acceptance letter that I knew that I wasn't going to let that opportunity go to waste. I was always interested in finance from an early age. My parents made sure that they raised a young, financially aware young man. See, as far as I can remember, my parents have always struggled with paying back student loans and credit card debt. My parents had the courage to go back to school after having both me and my brother to seek higher education, to prove to us that immigrants to this great nation we call the U.S. can make it in the land of opportunity. It came at a cost, however, and they wanted to make sure that I didn't repeat the same mistakes. So, fast forward 4 years later, and here I am, standing as a proud Salvadorian and Honduran American. NAF has provided me with countless and numerous opportunities. Through the Future Business Leaders of America Club, I placed first and second place in impromptu speaking 3 out of the 4 years competing. Through NAF student government, I served as a sophomore representative, junior representative, and now as a senior, I serve as the president. And especially thanks to this youth summer internship program, the mandatory junior internship we have to do this summer transitioning into senior year, I had the amazing and incredible opportunity to work with Breakthrough Miami, a local non-profit organization that works to close the educational achievement gaps for students that come from lower income families and minorities in South Florida. Because of that, I had the incredible opportunity to go and teach 5th grade language arts to around 30 students, those which I love very dearly, and I still see them on a regular basis to this day. And NAF gave me the opportunity to go back and connect with the community, which I love, and it gave me the opportunity to just reconfirm why I love Miami and why I love this academy so much. As you can see, NAF has created a success story in me. I think it has created a success story for every single student that's here present tonight. And one thing that I learned, several things I learned throughout my NAF journey. I learned, like I said, it's quite a lot of things. I learned leadership. I learned discipline. I learned creativity, humility. But most importantly, I learned confidence. Because now I have the confidence to go through every step of my life knowing that NAF and the Academy of Finance has prepared me for every single situation that life may have for me. Let's go. That's what's up. As for my future plans, I plan on attending Florida International University. I was selected to be a Golden Scholar, which means that I am going to school full ride, 100% tuition. Like I alluded, I am not the only NAF success story. There have been many NAF success stories before me, and there will continue to be NAF success stories after me. Because that's what this program and the organization do. Create success stories and provides opportunities for students to be more what they thought they could be. Thank you for listening to my story, and thank you, each and every one of you, that contributes to making this program, this organization, what it is, which is amazing. And now it is my incredible honor to introduce NAF alumni Carmen Bermudez, who is also a former Academy of Finance student. Woo!
Boy, he is a tough act to follow. I just want to say ditto because I relate to everything you said, Diego. I really appreciate it. I am Carmen Bermudez. I am a 1991 graduate of one of NAF's first Academy of Finances in Brooklyn of John Dewey High School. Yes, thank you. And what's interesting is I didn't realize what NAF was. So I got reunited with NAF last year. My boss asked me if I would be an executive sponsor. So it all comes full circle. I graduated high school June of 91, and I started with Verizon July of 91. They recruited me from Academy of Finance. They were looking for future leaders, and here I am. I currently am the director of network operations for New York City and Long Island, serving the best reliable network, just saying. And I actually attended the virtual benefit last year because I was an executive sponsor. I dialed in, and one of my former professors was like, "Oh, hey, Carmen." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this sounds familiar. John Dewey High School? I think I know that." And click. It all came together. And a total flashback moment. 30 years of my career just flashed before my eyes, and I remember being that high school student, just unsure of what my next step was. I knew I wanted more for myself. I was driven, but my mother, God love her, but she was just very irresponsible. But product of the 60s, she said, "Carmen, you can do whatever you want. The world is your oyster. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to get married. You don't have to have kids. You do whatever you want." She never saved a dime. Still hasn't to this day. Taking care of mom, don't worry. But I knew that I had, and she told me to pay, I knew I needed some direction. And yeah, it's funny but not funny right now. So anyway, no, fortunately, I knew that my love for math would, if I applied it in finance, that I could have a better life, right? We can have a car. We can have things that other families had. And I wanted more for myself and my family. And I just felt that, Academy of Finance was how I made that move. They paved the path. I wasn't sure I knew where I wanted to go, but I didn't know how to get there. And Academy just laid out the way. And I'm so appreciative and so honored to be here today and to hear that it's still going. I mean, I was like, NAF? Why is it NAF? Because now it's expanded and evolved. And I am so excited to be a part of this tonight and give back to the organization that pretty much is the reason why I'm standing here before you.
It's so amazing to hear from our students. And the last time we were in this room in person, I remember when Matt made Rashawn the offer for an internship, and it's amazing to see where he's taken that. So now it is time for the highlight of the evening, of course, besides all of the incredible presentations by our students, the Fireside Chat. And so I'd like to introduce our guests, of course, Steve Squarey, CEO of American Express.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Karthik Tyagi, who is a 2019 alum of the Academy of Health Sciences and a current student at UNC Chapel Hill.
Great to be here.
And Ebony Woods, senior at the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism in Birmingham, Alabama.
Hi.
All right, so let's get started. So Steve, 35 years ago, American Express partnered with NAF to create the first Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. We now have 87 academies of hospitality and tourism serving nearly 20,000 students. Why does American Express invest in organizations like NAF?
So as I said, it really is a pleasure to be here and to be honored and accept this on behalf of the entire company. But when you look at what the role of the corporation is, and you look at what American Express stands for, it starts with values, and we have blue box values, and those values say to really be good citizens in the communities in which we live and work. It's one thing to have those values, but it's another thing to actually act on those values. And 35 years ago, Jim and Sandy, where did Jim go? Jim's over there. Jim and Sandy decided to put those values into action, and then Ken continued that, and I'm just standing on the shoulders of great leaders at this particular point in time, because without their foresight, without their wisdom, without their judgment, and when you look at it, American Express was really obviously hospitality. We were known for travel and entertainment, whether it was traveler's checks, whether it was travel or our cards. And so we always saw a need for, investment in hospitality as well. And to be able to provide opportunities to underserved communities and underprivileged people was, I think, just a tremendous thing for us to do. And we continue to do that today. And I think it's really important that not only that we do this, but many corporations do this. And I think, corporations realize that they have a responsibility. And the responsibility that we have as corporate citizens is to give back to the communities and to provide opportunities for those that would not have them. And so that's why we continue to support organizations like this and many others.
Thank you. So this is a question. Yeah. So this is a question for all three of you. When you think about the theme for tonight, rise to the moment, to the challenge, to the opportunity, what life experiences, individuals, or moments stand out to you? Ebony, why don't we start with you?
So when I think of this, rise to the moment, rise to the challenge, I think of this moment here today. I wouldn't be here in this moment if it weren't for the opportunities NAF has presented me. All these opportunities are things that have led me to be here today where I am, and the things that I have done are through my academy. And I think that without NAF, people like me wouldn't be in these positions to be able to speak. I'm just 18 years old, and I'm here in front of you in a panel being able to talk to you about these things. And I think that is just amazing, and it puts me in a predicament of where I am someone of importance and someone that can speak about my experiences.
I first and foremost, thanks again for the opportunity to be here. I think that's a great question. But to start off, I think the only reason I am here is because Mr. Squarey promised me an Amex Black card. With no, there are perks to being here. But jokes aside, the question's a good one, because I think when I think about rising to the moment and rising to the challenge, I think to the past and to the foundation that the people in my life have had and the impact that they've had. I think first about my parents, who immigrated to the United States in the year 2000. They married in 1999, and I was born in 2001. I think about sacrifices that were made. My mom, an architect by trade, amazing at what she did. When I was born, and she made the decision to turn down some great job offers to become a stay-at-home mom, and has been since then to me and my younger brother. But when it comes to rising to the challenge and rising to the moment, I also think about personal goals. And one of those is living up to my name. My last name, Tyagi, comes from the Sanskrit word sacrifice. So how am I able to live up to the platform that those before me have established? I think that rising to the challenge, each of us have challenges, albeit different challenges, students, industry partners, industry professionals. But I think the key challenge that we all share is that of enhancing workforce readiness, promoting workforce proficiency, and minimizing workforce shortages. And that's a challenge that we can't sit on the sidelines for. And so that's why it's an honor to be here, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Steve, you want to follow those up?
Ditto. I'll give you the black card. It's in the mail, and
I hope this is being recorded. You know.
I don't have that much longer to go in my job, so we'll call you as well. Getting a little long in the tooth. But as terrific answers by both of you. For me, as you can tell by my accent, I'm from the South, Southern Queens, and about 20 years ago, my buddy Nicky called me up, and he said, you should come back to the high school. And I went to high school in Monsignor McClancy High School in East Elmhurst. Oh, very good, thank you. And he said, what are you doing? Well, I'm kind of working, raising kids, things like that. And he said, but how about getting involved again? We could really use your help. School's struggling. And if you think about it, think about what it meant and what the times that we had here really meant. And so for the last 20 years, based on that conversation, it made me reflect. And it made me reflect on what was really important. And it made me reflect on the sacrifices that my parents made to send me and my three brothers to private school, 2 jobs. My mother had a job, my father had 2 jobs. And, it's something that as I got to reflect on it, I not only got to reflect upon the sacrifices my parents made, but I also got to reflect upon what is my responsibility to give back. Because when I look at that school, and I've said this publicly, I believe that Monsignor McClancy and that education that I got really taught me the power of education. It taught me how to learn. And I think you continue to learn all through your life. But most importantly, it taught me the importance of giving back. And I spend a lot of time at the school. I'm on the board. And, it's one thing, you can contribute money and you can do this and you can do that, which they appreciate, no doubt about it. But I spend time with accepted students. I spend time with the faculty. I spend time with the seniors. I spend time in a strategic plan. And the reason I do that is I want kids that were like me to be able to be able to dream big and to be able to experience the same opportunities that I had. Now, as I talk to accepted students, I said, well, look, your kid may not become chairman and CEO of American Express. That's it's kind of 1 in a million. And I'm very fortunate. I mean, I still pinch myself to this day that I'm actually sitting in this position. But what I can guarantee you is that what we will do here is we will really help mold either your son or your daughter into an individual that you can be proud of, one where we will really form, make a lasting impression, and ensure that not only do we, improve their spirit, but their mind and their bodies, and that they'll be ready to take on the challenges of the world. And so for me, my moment was sort of 20 years ago when my buddy Nick, who's now the president of the school, we played basketball together at the high school. He's now the president of the school. And that was my moment to really realize that I had a responsibility to give back so that others could potentially follow in my footsteps.
Really incredible and inspiring. Ebony, you participated in the Youth-Led Participatory Action Research Program. Can you explain what that program is and what it has meant to represent your student voice?
Yes. So YPAR is exactly what she said, Youth Participatory Action Research. And within my school, this was actually the first time that I actually interacted with NAF. And so with my school, we were able to meet with 2 NAF members, and we were able to come up with, I guess, something within our school that we could implement and talk about. And so me and a couple of other of my peers decided that we wanted to talk about mental health and things that described within our schooling and in our education on how we could fix these things and how we have student health centers and we can be able to gather the community together and come up with a solution. And with that, we spent month-long processes of going over and evaluating data and creating surveys and submitting them to the school. And we even got the principal of our school to join in and been able to implement these changes. And we were able to send it to the superintendent of our schools to create different opportunities and different things to get students engaged and to see what we could implement within our school. And because of that, I was able to be the voice of the students within the school, and people have come to me in my school and have asked me, "Hey, can we do this? Can you talk to the principal?" And to be that voice was an amazing feeling because it showed me that what NAF does and what we do actually works.
It's amazing. And it really obviously makes such an impact on your school as well. So, Karthik, you graduated only a few years ago in 2019. So, looking back on your time at NAF and your high school journey, what opportunities were you exposed to that you wouldn't have encountered otherwise?
No, great question. So I graduated from the Enloe High School Academy of Health Sciences in Raleigh, North Carolina in 2019. And there we go. Right before, I think, the bulk of the pandemic hit us. One of the biggest things that I say to this date that was really impactful for me in graduating from an Academy of Health Sciences was the exposure to external organizations and opportunities I never would have had. First and foremost, day one I remember, day one of my Academy of Health Sciences journey, being exposed to a sister organization or a partner organization, Hosts of Future Health Professionals, an international career and technical student organization aiming to empower its 250,000 members to become leaders in the global health community. And that's not something that I was exposed to. And I don't think it's something in education settings many health-oriented students are exposed to, global health, public health, as opposed to traditional medicine. And so I became involved that first year and have been a member ever since. And, along the way, currently have the honor and privilege of serving as international president-elect. Because I think that the potential that organizations like NAF have to minimize those workforce shortages have long-lasting implications beyond our years, beyond my years, right? To the students in this room, I say that enjoy the journey along the way, but recognize that the best is always yet to be. That's what I ran on my 4 years trying to think through. And when I was on Zoom in college, that's also what I tried to think. For those classes. And for the industry folks in here, your impact is measured, yes, by the size of your check, but also by the size of your character and the time that you have to mentor us as students. That's one of the biggest things for me that made a difference. I don't think without those opportunities I would have been able to serve right at the outset of the global COVID-19 pandemic as a member of Harvard Medical School's Global COVID-19 Response Support Group. I don't think that opportunity would have propelled my passion change from traditional healthcare, which no longer is my primary passion, to now global and public health policy, informing my opportunity to actually move into D.C. later this week for the summer to support work at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And I don't think that is possible without a foundation for students, without a foundation for developing passions, and without a foundation for rising to the moment.
It's wonderful. And the theme of so many of these answers certainly is the commitment of professionals who really help to guide the way for you. So in the spirit of that, I would like to invite both of you to ask Mr. Squarey a question that you have.
You want?
I would go to Ebony first.
So my question would be, what advice do you have for graduating seniors or just young professionals in general?
So what I would say is that life is a journey, and it's a marathon, and it's not a sprint. And so I think, you need to realize that you're going to keep on learning, and you're going to keep on learning, and you're going to keep on growing. And don't go for that quick, instant gratification. I can tell you I've had a long career. I've been working over 40 years, and I'm going to be working a little bit longer. Just so that, analysts and investors don't get nervous and they go running out of here. I think he resigned. He's retiring. Karthik's going to take over. Sounded a lot better than that guy anyway. So, what the hell? I really believe that, I see too many people that, try and grab the brass ring by the time they're 25. And the reality is, is that's when you should be growing. And, from my perspective is I believe that you should also, never have anyone, and my mother told me this, many, many years ago, never let anyone set any goals for you, because you are the only one that knows what you are capable of. And so I could tell you that over the years, if I would have listened to other people, I would not be sitting here today, because I would have gave up years and years ago. But, I've had great mentors along the way, and I think it's really important to find great mentors. And I think it's important to take chances in your life as well. Put yourself out there. Be courageous. Be authentic. And I think that's really, really important. And then when you make it, give back. It is so important to give back.
So, Karthik, do you have a question besides about the black card?
Oh, I have to think.
Be on public health policy, because it's not.
I have to think about another one real quick. No, I think, Mr. Square, to that point of giving back, I'm curious. American Express as a company is one that has produced some great leaders we see today, a testament to that fact. What are your thoughts on the attributes or the skill sets or the pieces that make a good leader or embody good leadership?
A lot of people talk about leadership. A lot of people write a lot of books about leadership. But for me, there are two things that are really table stakes. The first thing is you have to have great values. It is really hard to be a great leader without great values, without integrity, without trust. And it's hard to get people to follow somebody that doesn't have those kind of values. The second thing I learned from a great leader, and that's Ken Chenault. If you want to be a great leader, you have to be willing to serve. You have to be willing to serve. And I had a front row seat. I had a front row seat to this man for a long, long time. 14 years working directly for him, and through his entire tenure as CEO. So, and what you have to realize as a leader is that the organization is not there to serve you. You are there to serve the organization. And that is so important. And you don't read that in a book. And you see so many people that are leading organizations that's not their mindset. Their mindset is to use their position as a platform for themselves. And that's not right. It's not what you should be doing. You need to serve not only your colleagues within the company, your customers, but your community as well. And then you get into, obviously, you got to have a good head on your shoulders. That always helps, But I think it gets down to, you need to have vision. You need to be able to communicate. You need good judgment. And that's all important. And you could say, well, okay, look, Steve, you're talking about this right now, and you're the CEO and chairman. It doesn't just apply if you're the CEO and chairman. It applies if you're leading a club in high school. It applies if you're leading something in college. It applies if you're leading a small group of people. And it's something that applies all the way through your entire career. And so what I would just close with saying is you can't replace good values, and you cannot replace the mindset of you are there to serve. If you do serve, I will tell you, not only will you be a respected leader, you will feel so much self-enjoyment from doing that you should try it, because it's really worth it.
That was so beautifully said, and it's so incredible to see so many of you here tonight who do have that same commitment to what we're doing, to the students that we're serving, and really making sure that we can create better futures. And I can certainly agree, when I worked at American Express, seeing Ken's leadership, my seat was a little further back, wasn't quite the front row, but it really was, it's so inspiring to see leaders who truly take this to heart and really do give back. And so we're so appreciative to all of you in the room tonight and all the friends you're going to bring along on this ride. And of course, to the person who had the idea for all of this to begin with over 40 years ago, our chairman, Sandy Weil, who really envisioned what was possible, and saw what this could be in a much bigger scale than that first school at the first academy at John Dewey High School. And we're so incredibly proud of what we've built together with all of you and the amazing impact it's had on so many students' lives.
I'd like to just tell you one personal thing that showed a thought process of that life is a long journey. And I remember going to a dinner one night that Warren Buffett was at, and I was at the same dinner. And Warren started talking about when he was at Columbia, he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to make money. And he set out when he left Columbia to make money. God knows he succeeded at that. But I felt that our life, my wife and I, was very, very different. And we really thought about this long journey. So when we got married, our first goal in life was to buy a deep fryer. You know, it was a realistic goal. And Joan was making more money teaching 2 days a week in the New York City school system than I made working on Wall Street 5 days a week. And she claims to this day I still owe her money. But somebody, not a friend of mine, taught her about compound interest. But then I said, and our second goal was to buy a Kodak slide projector. You know, and when we got that, we thought about the next and the next and the next. And we are still thinking about it after being married 67 years. Yeah. Yeah. But, and then I think back to as our company, we started a company in 1960. We were 4 young people. And that company grew over a period of 2 decades. And we realized the industry was going to change. So we thought about what should we do. Most of the industry was private companies at that point in time. Only 1 or 2 had gone public. And we said that we should go and speak to American Express because that company has the best values of anybody in the financial business. And we should have a partner like that. And we spoke to Jim Robinson for a few months, and we ended up deciding to do it. And I think it turned out to be a really great thing for American Express. And from a personal point of view, it turned out to be really a great thing for me because when I worked at American Express, I learned really from American Express about philanthropy and giving back. And while we had started NAF the year before we sold our company to American Express, but Jim and other people at American Express really went and loved the idea and helped really get it off the ground and diversified from just an institution that was working on training young people for careers in the financial business to go into hospitality and tourism, and now we are STEM. Anyway, it's terrific to see NAF with the history that it has with American Express that goes back to 1977, which is 23 plus 22 is 45 years ago, right? So that's a long time, and we're still on speaking terms. We really enjoyed each other and worked, really well together, I think, and have stayed friends through all kinds of things. And I think that for some reason, one of my first board meetings, I remember Ken Chenault had to make a presentation. And I think I was the only one that listened to him. Turned out to be a very smart thing for me because I made a friend of a person that really I've learned a lot from. And I hope we keep on learning from each of us because we bring different things. And it's been a great, great life. And a lot of this, I think we all have to thank NAF. And really what NAF is all about is the young people that you've seen up here tonight and see how confident they are in themselves, how they handle themselves. I mean, you have to feel good. And if you ever had the opportunity to go to a graduation, a NAF graduation, and see the parents or single parent of some of these kids coming. These kids are making the parents better. And now we have a chance in the United States where people are finally getting the message to really level the playing field, have the technical things that we need so that everybody can have access to the internet and to information. Tonight, it's really my pleasure to give Steve this Citizenship Award from NAF for being the kind of person that I think you all got to see tonight, a person whose value systems are real. You can't fake what he said. His beliefs are good. And to be a client, and I hope that you do give the black card, because, the black card is really fantastic. And, I'm old enough that when I worked at American Express, I was the only one in the senior management, the only one in the company whose American Express card said member since 1958. Charter member, the only one. And believe me, there haven't been any born before that. Very few of us are still around. But really, it was a great part of my life, and I felt so proud that when Jim really helped me become president of American Express, which was not an easy thing on his part to do, and you feel for those things. And we have stayed friendly and done business together and lots of things. And I think thank you all for being my friend, and I want to thank Steve, and I hope that we can develop the kind of relationship, because Steve is the kind of person I think we can all learn from. And he's the kind of person that we want to see continue to build American Express into just a better and better and better company. So God bless, and where's Steve?
Picture? Okay. I gotta get a picture with Sandy here. Sandy, thank you. And you probably don't have that deep fryer anymore. But you can use your membership rewards points to buy a new deep fryer. Not so sure you can buy the slide projector thing. I don't think they make those anymore, but certainly use those points. And use them in retail because it's cheaper for me. Anyway, so I want to thank you very, very much. And Jim, I want to thank you for making the phone call and telling me about this great honor. And Ken for all your support and encouragement over the years. I want to thank you, Lisa, as well, and to the entire NAF team for the work you're doing to provide students with the skills and training needed to reach their full potential. And I think, you saw just tonight from 1991 in John Dewey High School all the way to 2022 in Coral Gables, Florida, just the impact over such a long period of time. And outside of Brooklyn, amazing. Just outside of Brooklyn as well. I mean, it's quite an expansive area because you can get into Queens and Staten Island and the Bronx, But, like NAF, American Express is committed to providing, people access to resources and education, as I talked about, so they can move their careers forward. And I believe, and I think you heard from me before in the Q&A, we need to create a more equitable society. And to do this, access to quality education is absolutely job one. And anything we can do to continue to push that forward, I think is really going to make a difference in the world. As I said, look, education has had a huge impact on my ability to be successful in life and in business. And therefore, it's important to me that students all over, especially students from underprivileged and disadvantaged areas, have that same opportunity. And NAF is doing that every single day. And that's why it is a privilege to be able to give back through NAF. And American Express has been a proud supporter, for, as we said, since 1992, contributing almost $24 million in support of NAF's efforts for economic independence, leadership, COVID relief, and much, much more. Our teams have done incredible work together and will continue to do so to provide students from all backgrounds with equal opportunities. And one of Amex's priorities is to invest in the next generation of leaders. And the work that NAF is doing is really essential to building strong talent pipeline for the future. And in turn, it helps build a stronger economy and a stronger society. It's been a pleasure to be on the stage with the students tonight and meet the alumni. It was actually pretty intimidating to be on the stage with the students tonight, to be perfectly honest. And I think back to myself as an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old. I couldn't have done what you guys did tonight, and so I take my hats off to all of you. And then I'm impressed. As I said, I'm just totally impressed with the talent and the caliber of students that are here tonight, and it really does give me hope for the future, because I know they're all going to go on to do great things. Not only the ones that we saw tonight, but the ones you didn't hear from, the ones that are out there and benefiting through donations that you continue to make tonight. And so on behalf of American Express, I'm honored to receive this Corporate Citizens Award, and I share this recognition with all the companies who are working with NAF to ensure the students are career and future ready. Thank you very much.